Welcome to the Wisdom Tribe. If you are listening to this right now, it is not by coincidence, it is by divine appointment. You have been drawn here by the Spirit of God Himself because this message carries something that belongs to you. You are not here by accident. You are here because heaven has already stamped you as chosen, set apart, and destined for greatness. There is a blessing with your name on it, one that was delayed, not denied. One that took longer than you hoped, longer than you prayed, longer than you expected. But today, God wants to show you a mystery. That delay was divine. The waiting was necessary. The process was protection, because the blessing had to grow before it could be placed in your hands. Let's walk through 7 chapters that will touch your heart deeply and help you understand why the delay was part of the design. Before we go any further, if your spirit is feeling this word, type 7 in the comments right now. That number is not random. It is the prophetic symbol of divine completion. A sign that the blessing you've been waiting for has finished growing in the unseen realm. When you type it, you're declaring in faith that you are aligned, chosen, and spiritually ready to receive the blessing that took time to mature. You're signaling to heaven that you understand the delay was preparation, and you are now positioned to step into what has been fully developed for your life. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Wisdom Tribe, because when you stay connected, you stay aligned with the messages God is releasing specifically for you. Make sure you watch this video all the way to the very end, because the blessing that was delayed, the blessing that had to grow first, is about to reveal itself in your life in a way you never expected. Let's dive deeper. Chapter 1. The roots were growing where you couldn't see. Chosen one, the blessing you've been waiting for was never still, never silent, never abandoned. It was quietly developing in the depths of the unseen. You felt like nothing was happening, but in reality, everything was happening beneath the surface. Just like a seed buried in the ground, the greatest growth always begins in hidden places. Before anything breaks through the soil, before anything becomes visible, before anything blossoms, the roots must form first. If God had delivered your blessing prematurely, it would not have survived the weight of your purpose. It would have been too vulnerable, too underdeveloped, too incomplete, too easy for the enemy to snatch away, and too fragile to handle the storms attached to your next level. God refused to give you something that would collapse under pressure. He refused to let you receive a premature blessing that would crumble the moment life tested it. Your blessing needed time to strengthen. Your promise needed time to mature. Your harvest needed time to anchor itself deeply in the spiritual realm. God needed the foundation to be unshakable before the manifestation became visible. And even though you couldn't see the work, heaven was busy on your behalf. While you thought God was silent, He was securing your future. While you questioned the timing, He was fortifying your blessing. While you wondered if anything was happening, He was building something powerful beneath the surface. He was laying the kind of foundation that no betrayal, no disappointment, no detour, and no spiritual attack could uproot. The roots were forming in places you could not observe. Roots of stability, roots of longevity, roots of increase, roots of divine strength, roots of supernatural protection. God was anchoring your blessing so deeply into your destiny that no storm could shake it loose. What He was preparing for you required depth. Depth of patience, depth of character, depth of wisdom, depth of spiritual maturity. You had to grow deeper before you could grow higher. You had to be grounded before you could be elevated. You had to be strengthened before you could be blessed. This is why the process seemed slow. This is why the silence felt long. This is why the waiting tested your faith. The blessing wasn't delayed as punishment. It was developing. You were looking for something above the soil, but God was working beneath it. You were expecting a sudden breakthrough, but God was building a permanent one. You were searching for signs, but God was strengthening the roots so the blessing would last. Nothing you endured was wasted. Every season of stillness had purpose. Every moment of waiting added weight to your roots. Every tear watered the soil of your destiny. Every prayer nourished what God was growing on your behalf. Chosen one, the roots had to grow first, and now that they have, what's about to rise in your life will not just appear. It will flourish. It will stand. It will last. And no force in this world or the next will be able to uproot what God established in the unseen. Chapter 2. God was protecting you from a premature blessing. Chosen one. Listen closely. What you called waiting, heaven called warfare. What you called delay, heaven called divine protection. And what you thought was God holding something back was actually God holding you together. Because a blessing given too early isn't a blessing, it's a weight you're not yet shaped to carry. God knew this season of your life required more preparation than you realized. He knew that the blessing He formed for you was volatile, heavy, powerful, and generational. He knew that if He delivered it before the right time, it could break you instead of build you. So He hid you. He slowed you down. He rerouted you. He closed doors you begged Him to open. He delayed connections you thought were from Him. He removed people you didn't have the courage to walk away from. Not because you were unworthy, but because you were in development. Spiritually and emotionally, you were still healing wounds that dated back years, even decades. You were still trying to unlearn survival mode so you could step into abundance mode. You were still discovering what you truly deserved, not what you were settling for. You were still learning the difference between your calling and your comfort zone. You were still being shaped into someone who could protect the blessing once it arrived. If God had given it to you earlier, people around you would have drained the blessing before you enjoyed it. Fake friends would have attached themselves and ridden your elevation. Manipulators would have taken advantage of your generous heart. You might have shared the blessing with people who were not aligned with your destiny. You might have walked into a spiritual battle you were not yet equipped to fight. Chosen one, you didn't just need time. You needed discernment. You needed spiritual muscles. So you needed emotional grounding. So you needed identity. So you needed clarity. So you needed boundaries. And God, in His infinite wisdom, refused to give you anything that would destroy you prematurely. You see, God isn't interested in temporary blessings. He is preparing you for sustainable elevation. He is preparing you for blessings that outlive you. Blessings that create legacy. Blessings that shift your entire bloodline. Blessings that break generational patterns and introduce generational wealth. generational peace, and generational healing. That kind of blessing requires a different kind of preparation. So while you were crying, he was pruning. While you were confused, he was strengthening. While you were waiting, he was removing spiritual parasites. While you felt stuck, he was building your foundation deeper than you ever imagined. God needed you to grow into someone who would not sabotage your own breakthrough, someone who could recognize who was for you and who was against you, someone who would no longer ignore red flags. Someone who wasn't afraid to walk alone if the crowd wasn't aligned. Someone who knew their worth and refused to shrink for anyone. Chosen one, God wasn't preparing the blessing for you. He was preparing you for the blessing. And because you waited, because you endured, because you didn't quit even when your heart was tired, you are stepping into a season where the blessing will not feel heavy. It will not overwhelm you. It will not confuse you. It will not slip away. It will not require you to lose yourself. It will not attract chaos like before. Instead, it will fit your spirit. It will match your maturity. It will align with your purpose. It will strengthen your identity. It will elevate your life. And it will reveal why the delay was necessary. Chosen one, the delay was not a punishment. It was a shield. It was a safeguard. It was divine protection surrounding your destiny. And when your blessing arrives, and it's coming, it will arrive in such a way that you'll say, God, thank you for not giving this to me before I was ready. Chapter 3. You needed to become the person who could hold the blessing, chosen one. Understand this. God never prepares a blessing that your future self cannot handle. The issue was never the size of the blessing. It was the capacity of the vessel. God saw the level of glory, influence, responsibility, and abundance tied to your destiny, and he knew that the old you simply could not carry what the new you is about to walk into. So before he released the blessing, he worked on you. He stretched you so your spirit could expand. He challenged you so your character could deepen. He humbled you so your wisdom could sharpen. He isolated you so your discernment could awaken. He allowed losses so your identity could be rebuilt on solid ground. You thought your life was falling apart, but God was actually removing everything that couldn't go with you into your next level. He was stripping away outdated mindsets. He was dismantling limiting beliefs. He was breaking generational patterns. He was cleaning out emotional clutter. He was purifying the parts of you that didn't align with your future. Every test you went through, every rejection you suffered, every betrayal that cut you, every disappointment that frustrated you, every delay that broke your patience, all of it was shaping you into someone who could hold, protect, and sustain the blessing meant for your life. Because chosen one, blessings don't just require joy, they require strength, strategy, stability, and spiritual awareness. You had to learn how to say no without guilt. You had to learn how to set boundaries without apologizing. You had to learn how to trust God even when you couldn't trace him. You had to learn how to walk alone without losing your identity. You had to learn how to stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You had to learn how to recognize who was for you and who was using you. You had to learn the difference between a distraction and a divine assignment. God was shaping you into the version of yourself that could handle the weight of what he's about to place in your hands. You became more resilient because elevation requires endurance. You became more discerning because new levels attract new kinds of warfare. You became more confident because you can't walk into destiny doubting who you are. You became more spiritually grounded because the blessings coming your way must rest on a foundation that cannot be shaken. Chosen one, understand this truth. You weren't simply waiting for the blessing. The blessing was waiting for you to grow into your divine identity. The old you operated from survival. The new you operates from purpose. The old you reacted out of fear. The new you responds with wisdom. The old you carried wounds. The new you carries authority. The old you couldn't see your worth. The new you walks in confidence and clarity. You had to evolve emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and energetically before heaven released what belonged to you. Because the blessing God is about to deliver is not ordinary. It is strategic, it is powerful, it is generational. And it demands a version of you who is fully awake, fully aligned, and fully prepared. Chosen one, you are no longer the broken version of yourself. You are no longer the uncertain version of yourself. You are no longer the silenced version of yourself. You are now the refined version, the elevated version, the aligned version, the spiritually awakened version. And this version of you, the healed you, the wise you, the sharpened you, the grounded you, this is the you who can finally hold the blessing without letting it slip away. The blessing wasn't late. You were becoming. You were evolving. You were rising into the person who could carry the weight of what's been promised. And now heaven says, you're ready. Chapter 4. God was removing what could not go with you, chosen one. Listen closely, because this is one of the deepest truths about your journey. Everything that was removed, everything that collapsed, everything that walked away was divinely orchestrated. None of it was random. None of it was accidental. Heaven was cleansing your path long before you understood what was happening. During the waiting season, your life felt like it was being stripped apart piece by piece. Friendships you valued suddenly dissolved. Relationships you poured into stopped growing. Opportunities you thought were yours slipped away. Environments that once felt comfortable became suffocating. Habits you relied on no longer satisfied your spirit. People you trusted revealed true intentions. It felt painful. It felt confusing. It felt like loss. But spiritually, it was marked pruning. God was cutting away anything that couldn't survive the altitude of your next level. He was removing anything that would contaminate the blessing He prepared for you. He was clearing out distractions, negative attachments, and hidden enemies long before the blessing showed up. God was removing voices that would have talked you out of your purpose, voices that would have fed your doubt, voices that would have kept you small. He was removing energy drainers who only loved you for what you could give them, not for who you truly are. People who smiled in your face but carried jealousy in their hearts. Connections that looked supportive but were spiritually poisonous. He was removing hidden weights you didn't realize were slowing your spirit down. Habits that kept you stuck. Mindsets that kept you fearful. Patterns that kept you repeating cycles. Chosen one, God saw what you couldn't. He heard conversations behind your back. He discerned intentions you were too loyal to acknowledge. He saw the envy, the manipulation, the secret competition. He saw the spiritual warfare operating quietly through people close to you. And because the blessing He is preparing for you is sacred, rare, and powerful, He refused to let anything impure travel with you into that new season. If He had allowed those people to stay, they would have drained the blessing before you could experience it. They would have planted seeds of fear and insecurity. They would have sabotaged your breakthrough. They would have taken credit for what God did for you. They would have turned your blessing into a battlefield. They would have used your elevation to their advantage, so God separated you, not to hurt you, but to protect you, not to isolate you, but to elevate you, not to weaken you, but to strengthen the foundation beneath your destiny. Some connections ended abruptly because God heard conversations you didn't. Some friendships faded slowly so your heart could detach gradually. Some doors closed violently because those paths were never meant for you. Some opportunities disappeared because they were too small for your calling. This was not rejection, it was a redirection. This was not abandonment, it was alignment. This was not loss, it was a divine protection in motion. Chosen one, the delay wasn't because you weren't ready. The delay was because your environment wasn't ready for the version of you God was shaping. God had to purify the atmosphere around you so your blessing could land in a place where it could flourish, not die. He removed what could not grow with you. He removed what could not understand you. He removed what could not sustain you. He removed what could not celebrate you. He removed what could not handle your calling. Because the blessing He is sending you is too precious to be surrounded by the wrong people, too powerful to be handled by the unfaithful, too divine to be shared with the unprepared. Sometimes God delays the blessing until every person around you aligns with His plan, until every distraction is gone, until every hindrance is removed, until every toxic connection is severed, until every counterfeit is exposed, until the environment is finally ready for your elevation. Chapter 5. The blessing itself needed time to multiply. Chosen one. This right here is one of the most powerful revelations of your journey. You weren't just waiting because you needed to grow. You were waiting because your blessing was growing too. What God was preparing for you required maturation, expansion, and divine multiplication far beyond what your original prayer could hold. You prayed for something simple, but God was constructing something supernatural. You asked for something immediate, but God was shaping something eternal. You expected something small, but God was designing something so big that it needed time, space, and heavenly preparation to handle the weight attached to it. Chosen one, hear this clearly. God wasn't delaying your blessing. He was enlarging it. He wasn't giving you the minimum. You were being prepared for the maximum. You weren't asking too much. You were asking too little. Your vision was too small for the scale of what was coming. You prayed for a drop, but God said, "No, my child, I am building you a river." You prayed for a moment of relief, but God said, I am preparing you for a lifetime of breakthrough. You prayed for one open door, but God said, I am creating a pathway of doors you haven't even imagined yet. Your blessing needed time to multiply, time to grow beyond the level you were praying on, time to reach the stage where it could bless you and bless generations after you. Because the blessing God designed for you isn't just about you. It's about your family, it's about your lineage, it's about your destiny, it's about the people connected to your obedience. It's about your future assignment. It's about the mark you were meant to leave on this world. Chosen one, God didn't want to give you a blessing that would temporarily lift you. He wanted to give you a blessing that would permanently transform you. But transformation doesn't happen instantly. Multiplication takes time. Expansion requires process. Increase requires construction behind the scenes. Heaven needed time to align the right people, prepare the right opportunities, open the right doors, remove the wrong ones, position the right resources, build the right structures, mature the right environments, create the right timing. Secure the blessing from spiritual attacks, attach divine protection, add supernatural increase. Every day you thought nothing was happening, something was multiplying. Every moment you felt stuck, your blessing was growing roots. Every season you felt overlooked, your blessing was gaining value. Every delay you cried through, your blessing was being upgraded. If God had given it to you too early, it would have been incomplete, unstable, unprotected, and too small for the purpose you now carry. So God allowed time to increase it. He allowed time to strengthen it. He allowed time to purify it. He allowed time to elevate it. He allowed time to add layers you didn't pray for but desperately needed. Chosen one, when this blessing arrives, when it will arrive in a way that shakes your entire spirit, you will realize the delay was divine. You will see why God said not yet. You will understand why He took His time. You will understand why your spirit had to wait while heaven worked. You're not stepping into a small blessing. You're stepping into an expanded, multiplied, overflowing blessing. The kind that makes you say, Lord, now I see why it took so long. Lord, this is more than I asked for. Lord, this is worth every tear, every season, every delay. Chosen one, your blessing wasn't late. Your blessing was multiplying. Chapter 7. Now the blessing is full grown and about to reveal itself. Chosen one. Now we reach the moment heaven has been preparing you for. The revelation is simple yet powerful. Your blessing is ready. Not halfway, not partially, not almost. It is fully grown, fully matured, fully strengthened, and fully aligned. Everything you've endured, survived, fought through, and prayed over has led to this exact season. Your blessing is no longer forming in silence. It is no longer hidden beneath the surface. It is no longer in preparation mode. It has reached divine completion. The roots have taken shape. The foundation has been secured. The growth has multiplied. The timing has aligned. The atmosphere has been cleared, the path has been purified, and now the blessing is ready to reveal itself. What once felt delayed is now fully developed. What once felt distant is now drawing near. What once felt impossible is now becoming inevitable. What once felt silent is about to speak loudly into your life, loudly into your destiny, loudly into your reality. Chosen one, your blessing is not coming weak, it is coming some strong. It's not coming half-built, it is coming some complete. It's not coming small, it is coming large and overflowing. It's not coming unstable, it is coming some established and secured. It's not coming gradually, it is coming suddenly, boldly, and undeniably. This is the season where everything hidden becomes visible, where everything growing underground breaks through the surface, where every silent preparation becomes a loud manifestation, where every invisible investment becomes a public harvest. You are entering a time where God will show you why the delays happened, why He removed certain people, why He closed certain doors, why He tested your faith. why He stretched your patience, why He refined your character, why He multiplied the blessing before handing it to you. The delay wasn't punishment, it was divine strategy. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection. It wasn't denial, it was protection. It wasn't God saying no, it was God saying, not yet. I'm making it bigger. Your blessing wasn't slow, it was growing, and because it was growing, it needed time to reach the magnitude God intended. Chosen one. Get ready. The blessing is mature, the blessing is complete, the blessing is overflowing, the blessing is strengthened, the blessing is protected, the blessing is aligned with heaven's timing.